Hi everyone, it's Lehman with Lace Covered Skies. I'm here today to do a tutorial on these slitted pockets. I had these in one of my journals, or a couple of my journals, and I wanted to just show you guys how I did it. So as you can see, the base of this is made from a big image. So these are good for big images in books and magazines that you want to use the whole thing, and it's just kind of awkward to use the whole thing. So what I did was, in the front there's a pocket, and then in order for it not to slip through, there's a piece of fabric behind it that kind of holds it in place, so it kind of stops it. And then there's journaling room on the back, but you can also use this as a pocket, and that's the same setup with this one. All right, so I'm going to I have some sets picked out, and let me see if I'm in frame. Okay, so I have this big one that I'm going to use. That's going to be the base. This is going to be the card that tucks in, and this is going to be the fabric on the back. I'm actually going to trim this down, and then this is going to be the fabric in the front. So let me go ahead and trim this down just a little bit first. Let me just take off like just a little bit. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm going to, I actually could make it less wide because it's taking up almost the whole thing, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and use it like this. Yeah. And let me just, because it's so wide, I'm going to let more of it be on the inside so we could see the front picture. So let's say I'm going to make the I'm going to make the pocket come up to here. Let's say like where the L's are right there. So try to get this as straight as possible. Okay, and you want the pocket to be, you just want the pocket to be as close as possible, because if you make it too big, it's going to be a little bit flimsier. I'm going to make a little dot right there, and then a little dot right here. And it's better to go smaller first because you can always open it up a little bit more. So I'm going to get a utility knife or a craft knife, whatever you have, and go ahead and cut it. So from this dot, some people make it look so easy to use a craft knife or a utility knife, but I struggle every time. Okay, so I think that cut through. Yeah. Now let's see if it's gonna fit. Make sure the ends are fully cut. Okay, So it looks like I need a teeny bit longer of a cut. There. Okay, so maybe even a little longer. Let me see. You don't want it to go too close to either edge. So let me go down this way. See, if this was a little bit of a thicker cardstock, it wouldn't struggle so much. It's just craft paper. But I think this is fine. So let me just kind of we'll stick with that. Now I'm going to put the fabric behind it, and I want the fabric to go all the way to the edge. If I would have been more prepared, this would be ironed, but it's not, so that's fine. That's what I love about junk journaling. You can be imperfect. Okay. Now, I think I'm gonna make this card a little bit smaller because the fabric needs to go over the slot just a little bit. So actually, let me make this smaller. I'm gonna go ahead and make this a tiny bit smaller this way. That way, if the fabric is right here, this goes to the edge, it'll still be within the line. And let's see. It is struggling a little bit, but I think because the edges are not smooth. Because my cutter, my paper cutter, is not that sharp anymore. Let me just trim that up. And corner punch it. And then now I am gonna have to go off camera to sew it, but let me just really quickly sew it. So I'm gonna line it up to the very edge of the pocket. I'm going to line it up to the very edge. And if it ends up I have to make my card a little bit smaller, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and let me leave this for you to look at. But I'm going to sew it really quick and I'll be right back. So what I like about these slitted pockets is that you can leave articles because I have a lot of National Geographic magazines and I love using articles in them. Okay, so I made a mistake already. We need to sew this part first, so good thing I didn't sew it all the way. But what we need to do first before sewing the bigger pocket in is getting this strip right here and sewing it down. So this strip of fabric that's going to go here, like this flowered one, is just going to make it slide in a little bit easier. So I'm going to cut it, and it doesn't need to be as big as the slit itself. So I'm going to cut it to almost the entire size of it. So about right there. And then I am going to make it a little bit smaller. That tears pretty nicely. Okay, and then I'm going to, so you need to do it so that it's going to be on the part where the card goes under. So because the card is going to go in this way, it needs to go on this side, if that makes sense. So I am putting it over the slot, folding it down, and then just tucking it behind, and then just sew a line straight down. But because I made that mistake earlier of sewing the other one on first, I'm just going to slide it down to this side a little bit more because I won't be able to reach this side. So I'm going to go ahead and sew a line here, sew the pocket on, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm sewing down that line. Should figure out a way to put my sewing machine on that side. And I've tried, but because my camera, it comes straight over the top. It's like a bird's eye view. It's really hard for me to put my sewing machine in there. Okay, so now continuing to sew the bigger piece on. And this is also a really good way to use up scraps because it doesn't take very much fabric, especially for this part. So I do need to trim off all of these little threads, but I'll do that later. So I sewed it on here, and it is a little bit crooked, but that's fine because this is a junk journal. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I think it adds character when things are a little bit imperfect. So it slides in pretty easily. And the pocket in the back holds the card. And there's room to journal a little bit around the edges if someone wants to. And there you have it. So you can just tuck that into something. And it's interesting because it's not a full picture. Like there's so many little things going on and it's kind of random. And I will corner punch this. So that's one right there. And this was the other one. All right, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you can use this for something. And if you do, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.